It's another fault find, so let's get to it. The issue was there was no power to the utility and gym area at this property, and the breaker wasn't resetting and just kept clicking out. So we braved the snow this morning and got ourselves set up and ready to go. First thing was to have a quick run around and see what sockets weren't working based on this circuit, and then it was to remove the cables from the breaker just to see if it was actually that tripping it or if the breaker was just faulty. To my mind, the breaker was faulty, but one of the main reasons you want to ask is why is that the case? So we did our normal fault finding procedures, unplugged everything we could find first. There was a lot of hidden sockets here, so I was always a bit wary that we may not find something. So we disconnected everything we could and started doing the ring circuit tests first, just to make sure we did actually have a ring circuit, and then running our usual insulation and continuity tests to start tracking down the problem. It's always a good idea to build up a picture of how the circuit is laid out, so we do continuity and insulation tests to locate which way the cables go and how the ring is generally laid out. We quickly got another breaker on order and one of the guys was bringing it over, so we were using this time wisely to break down the circuit to make sure there were no issues. I was still getting down insulation readings on certain areas, so I wanted to try and just make sure I was definitely finding all the products, and it must admit it did take an awful long time. Eventually found a USB socket that was causing me grief, and also a fridge that was plugged in around the back of something that I probably never would have found if it wasn't for the tests locating that particular area of the circuit. But at this point we'd now confirmed every part of the circuit was clear, so we could put the new breaker back on again once we had that, and everything was coming on lovely. We do actually think this might have been an overload situation where too many bits of equipment had been plugged in at the same time and it actually just tripped the breaker, but by doing that the breaker had actually just blown and couldn't be reset now. You always get the comments saying, oh, you made a bit of a meal out of that if it was just a faulty breaker, but to be honest, that's not the point. The point is actually locating a potential issue. It's worth checking that circuit because now, one, we can rule it out that it's not faulty, and two, we never actually knew that. We had to double check before we re-energised it. And that was that. Power was back on, customer was extremely happy, and we were done. Another fault find. Make sure you follow us for the next one.